All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the 2-2 Green Bay Packers Monday Night Football. Then you've got a bye week, extremely important. A lot of injured, important star players on this Green Bay Packers team, not only right now, but just like the season. Jaire Alexander, D-back, Christian Watson, Aaron Jones, whether they're injured right now or they were injured for the first couple of games, this team has been really, really resilient. And I love what I'm seeing from Jordan Love. He looks like such a professional. I think he's the perfect fit for the Green Bay Packers. And he's the leader of this energy right now. I mean, the Green Bay Packers energy, aura, vibe, whatever you want to call it, these guys like each other and they're having a really good time on the football field. When you're down 27-3 at halftime to a divisional rival at home, I think a lot of teams would quit. Green Bay comes back. They put up 17 points in the second half, and they only allow 7 points to Detroit. Now, keep in mind, Detroit's a really solid football team. The Atlanta loss was difficult, but hey, at the end of the day, that Saints fourth quarter comeback, the blowout week 1 to the Chicago Bears, keep in mind, although we have to take this with a grain of salt because I mean, it is what it is. The Green Bay Packers technically have the easiest remaining schedule left on the board. The reason I kind of like that is because everyone was worried about after the bye week for this Packers team. So, we have to take it with a grain of salt. We're only 4 games into the regular season. It is what it is. The Packers currently have the 10th highest scoring offense, which is crazy because rush-wise, especially with Aaron Jones outside of game 1, the game plan run-wise against Detroit was just a complete wash. They're third to dead last running the ball. But as many moving parts as they have on the offensive line, they are top 10 in sacks allowed. They've only given up 8 sacks so far this season. The defense, guys like Quay Walker, I've noticed an energy shift with this team. It reminds me almost of what I've seen from the 90s Packers. And it just is the way I was raised on football, hard hitting. I want to rip your freaking head out. That's the way it is. That's the way football is and always will be to me. But we live in a day and age right now where you get guys like Quay Walker, some of these boneheaded mistakes, stupid penalties. I just love the intensity. I love the edge he brings. We're getting guys like Eric Stokes back soon. I am feeling very good about the majority of the rest of the season and what I've seen so far for this Packers team. So we're going to talk about that in tonight's video. But before we do, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. I'm a diehard cheesehead. So Packers fans, I post a bunch of Packers videos. You guys always bless them. I appreciate it so much. If we could try and get 250 likes on tonight's video, that would mean the absolute world to me. So just keep in mind, I hate saying injuries. Keep in mind this team is nowhere close to what they're going to be in the second half of this season. I think if you ask a lot of Green Bay Packers fans, and I just offered you 2-2 or 3-2, hopefully after this upcoming Monday night game, I'll speak for myself here, and I think I speak for a lot of Packers fans, we're all going to take it, especially with the eye test. And I think it's so important that this team was down 27-3 at halftime, and it was a lot closer of a game in the second half than that scoreboard makes it out to be. Now, Detroit's a really talented football team, but when you have a young, non-rookie quarterback, but a guy who only had, one career start heading into this upcoming season, bouncing back, resiliency, the poise that he showed for being embarrassed on live television at home in your own house, the way they bounced back tells me everything I need to know about the future of not only Jordan Love, but the Green Bay Packers. Is Jordan Love, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers? No, but we've already talked all off season why we don't need him to be that. They're doing this with a lot of players missing time. David Bakhtiari, Christian Watson, aka wide receiver 1, Aaron Jones, aka RB1. They're relying on first and second year players offensively, guys like Romeo Doubs, who's just a freaking stud. Unfortunately, Luke Musgrave did get injured, but he'll be back. They're relying, Jaden Reed, they're relying on these rookies, and these rookies are stepping up. These young players are stepping up, Jordan Love, et cetera, et cetera. So offensively, they are just 1 month into the season. They're only going to get better. The offensive line's only going to get better. The rushing attack, the rushing yards look so bad. I will admit I'm not enamored by A.J. Dillon so far a month into the season, but we know what we have in Aaron Jones. I'm kind of glad we didn't see, I have him in fantasy, so I wasn't too pleased last Thursday night, but from a Packers standpoint, I'm really glad that the dude was getting hit everywhere. I'm just glad he's healthy. All right, I'm just glad he's healthy. Now, defensively, I saw something that was pretty interesting from Mike Daniels saying here because you've got a lot of people calling out this Green Bay Packers defense for, being nasty, being dirty. And here's what Mike Daniels said, and it's on Twitter. Yes, there is a fine line. We never flirted with that line enough and kept it out of the Super Bowl. People were mad at Quay Walker, but that attitude is needed. Top 5 defenses have several guys like that. I'd rather have to tell a guy to slow down instead of pick it up. And I think that is just the perfect sentence in the world for this energy on defense right now with guys like Quay Walker, with guys like Eric Stokes coming in. Rashawn Gary's having a phenomenal season. Devontae Wyatt's having a phenomenal bounce back season. I know Devondre Campbell got banged up, but he's a hard hitter. These guys like to hit. They're not afraid of the hit. Now the tackling, some guys aren't, as good tacklers as everybody. But for the most part, I like this intensity. Now, I get it. The rush defense is a concern. It feels like it's been a huge concern my entire life as a Green Bay Packers fan. So far this season, they're third to last in the National Football League in rushing yards. They're second to dead last in rushing attempts. They're seventh to dead last in rushing average, giving up a whopping 4.5 yards per carry. We saw it at times a lot last season when we played like Philadelphia Eagles comes to mind right away. You saw it last Thursday night against the Detroit Lions. The talent's there. You've got Kenny Clark. You've got Rashawn Gary. You've got Wyatt. You've got Van Ness. You've got new guys, existing guys, and guys breaking out already existing on this roster. So personnel-wise, it has nothing to do with talent. Like, there's nothing talent-wise that they can come on and bring on over. There's nobody I could think of that I would even want to come on over. The defense is loaded. I mean, they have to get healthy, and they have to start stopping the run. I know Joe Barry isn't Packers fans' favorite, but the point is, as Mike Daniels was kind of saying here, the energy of the defense is extremely important. Now, I know like Quay Walker especially boneheaded sometimes. Like, I'm thinking to that last regular season game. There are just mistakes that these young players are going to make. And, sometimes it ends up costing you more than others. But the mentality, the heart is there. And like I'm saying, this is the way I was raised with football. I know I've got a little bit more of an older audience. I know this is how you guys were raised in football as well. I want to bash your skull. I obviously respect the Detroit Lions. I love the Detroit Lions. I don't want anybody to actually get their head bashed in, but that's the mentality you need to have when you're playing defense. That's the mentality you need to have in general when playing football. And having guys like Quay Walker, these heavy, hard hitters that aren't afraid to make mistakes. Quay Walker was ever on that freaking field. He was everywhere on that field. He's been everywhere in the NFL this season. He was all over the place last year. He's currently 4th in the NFL in tackles. He had the pick 6. I like the energy. I like a lot of these players. Jaire Alexander, Eric Stokes. It's just the beginning. And at 2-2 and hopefully soon to be 3-2, heading into the bye week, let's get healthy. I like the upcoming games. I like how Minnesota looks. I absolutely love how the Chicago Bears look. Detroit is certainly a threat, but I really thought this season was going to come down to, if the Packers want to make the playoffs, you got to go 2-0 against Minnesota. And right now it's looking like, they might just in general win 9 football games at least. So I like it a lot. And I know a lot of Packers fans, I know, the losses have been difficult. That Atlanta game especially, it was just kind of, let's stop shooting ourselves in the foot. They give up way too many penalties. They're causing way too many penalties. They're 4th to dead last in penalties. They've had 31 so far through 40 games. It needs to be cleaned up. And we saw it a little bit with just 4 penalties in that Detroit Lions game. So nonetheless, the momentum is going. It's a good place to be, but I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. So hit that like button, hit that sub button if you haven't already. But Packers fans, give me a confidence level so far 1 month into the regular season for our Green Bay Packers. 10 being overly confident, 1 being, we are in trouble. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you.